Hi, I'm CJ Elmerick at Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado. If you are needing a warm blood trailer, but maybe not a big 6-horse, 4-horse head-to-head, this is such a cool setup and such a good seller for us. This is a brand new 2026 Cimarron Norstar Warmblood. This is a gooseneck 2-horse with a side ramp, so it's a walk-on, walk-off. So we're going to show you all the cool features on this one. You'll really see why it's such a popular seller for us. We'll go ahead and take a look at the drawing. I'll show you some specs on it. This is extra tall, so it's 7'7" tall, so it does accommodate those bigger warm blood type horses for you. It is the standard 6'10" wide. It is 18 foot on the floor, so a very manageable, trailer to get around as far as overall size goes. But again, this guy's got a side ramp on it. This trailer, as it sits empty, is about 4,500 pounds. So, a lot of even newer half tons can actually tow this. We'll talk about braking, which you'll need to make sure you're good with there. But again, this setup has become extremely popular. With a Cimarron, you're getting all aluminum construction, 8-year structure warranty, 3-year hardware warranty, and a 1-year no questions asked warranty on the tires. We'll just start up at the neck here. First thing is this polished stainless sheet. I think it really just kind of, finishes these trailers off really well. You got 3 marker lights on the top rail there. We were always adding those to kind of bigger trailers, trainer trailers, living quarters. But Cimarron made it a standard feature a year ago. We really like it. It's really nice to have a lot of lights on these guys. This is a B&W coupler. It's rated for 25,000 pounds. We won't even touch that with this trailer, even when it's loaded. But this guy right here is fantastic because it gives us so much flexibility with this low profile handle here, which allows us to have one more hole drilled in the coupler itself so we can slide it up and down in that sleeve. The main thing is we want this trailer to run level. So with that coupler and all the adjustability we have there, we can really make sure we have bed clearance, but also again, making sure this trailer is running level. Underneath the gooseneck, couple things. You're gonna have your spare tire located over to the left. You're gonna notice the Equalizer electric over hydraulic with the manual option. This is a fantastic setup. Now granted, this is not a big trailer, but this just continues to be a really popular option. We had ordered some of these trailers in with the manual cranks, and we just get continually adding this version of the jack onto it. Customers really preferred this rather than the manual. But let's be honest, it is definitely a nice feature to be able to reach up, hit the button, and up and down this trailer goes. Again, not a big one, but it is nice. Just push a button up and down with the manual override. If you do get an emergency situation, low battery, something along those lines, you could pump it on or off the truck. This is the same version we use through our parts and service department as well. The reasoning why the spare is elevated is because this is a larger footprint than a manual crank jack. So when we have to go from a manual to this, a lot of times we were having to elevate, relocate the spare tire. Because on a 6'10" wide trailer, everything's a little bit closer together. It's a little bit narrower underneath the gooseneck here. So this guy had to be elevated. So we started building all these trailers with the spare tire elevated, so it's one less piece that we potentially have to change for you in those type of scenarios, which costs you more money, more time. So that's a piece there that's already done. On the wider trailers, your 7'6" wide, 8 foot wide, we don't have to worry about it. We can actually have it down low because again, the box is wider. It gives us more space. You're also going to get the battery box, aluminum battery box, that's going to house a 12-volt battery and a battery disconnect. This battery disconnect is an important piece because if we walk away from this trailer, you park it, last thing you want to do is reach up here and turn that guy to the off position. That way it kills all power to the trailer itself. If we accidentally leave one of these lights on that I'll show you, it's not going to drain your battery down. You'll definitely want this guy nice and charged up to run the jack. So pushing that button up and down, but we can run, interior lights, load lights by having this on and then the 12-volt power. This piece over here is a RedArc charger that got added shortly after the 25 models came out, a couple months after. We were doing some testing. This is a piece that we've been messing around with for quite some time, but boy, is it a nice feature. Cimarron went ahead and made it standard with this package. And the reasoning why is a couple things. One, is it is going to work as a true 3-staging charger to this battery. So we're going to make sure this battery stays nice and charged up. It's going to get a lot of life and longevity to it. Our truck would always work as a trickle charger to this battery, but very slow going. So it'd take a long time to really get this battery up to its optimal, charge level. To where this guy here is, easiest way to explain it is, it's a supercharger for this battery. Really pumping power to it, making sure it is nice and charged up. The other thing is this works great to tell us if we have power coming from the tow vehicle. Prime example, was at a show this weekend, battery was low. Well, let me walked out there, their truck was underneath it, took the keys, fired it up, plugged it in, that light would not come on. I knew we did not have 12-volt power coming from that tow vehicle. So in that instance, they said, oh, something's wrong with the trailer, something's wrong with the battery, it's not working. So immediately popped the hood, found the fuse, took it out, sure enough, blown, drop a new one in, plug it back in, fire up, we have power. So it works as a great indicator if we have power coming from the truck or not. Had it plugged in and that light was on and we were having issues, well, then we can move to the trailer side of it. But I always like to start power source and work back. In that instance, I could tell we did not have power. So definitely a nice feature there. The other thing is, again, just keeping that nice and charged up. That way, when we go to hook these guys up, we aren't necessarily having to use this. But this is a good peace of mind piece from the standpoint of being able to pump it on or off the truck. Now, we talked about making sure this guy runs level and bed clearance. This gooseneck drop wall, so from bottom of that to the bottom of the box there, that is 53 inches. Standard is 50, but we put a lot of emphasis on just kind of looking at it and saying, okay, well, all the new trucks have a new body style with taller beds. So Ram, Ford have had that for a few years. GM changed their body style a couple years ago. Bed height got taller. What we want is we want plenty of bed clearance, but again, making sure this trailer is running level. So I can adjust that coupler and accomplish that. Now, I will never say you're gonna never tear up a bed, but nobody wants to on one of these really expensive new trucks. So by us doing that 53-inch gooseneck drop wall from a 50, it really allows us that flexibility to make sure this trailer's set up and really try to, again, optimize that bed clearance height for you. Now we lose a little bit of storage up in the nose, but hey, we're 7'7" tall. We're already 6 inches taller than the standard trailer. So that is a big, massive gooseneck that we'll show you from a storage standpoint. So that 3 inches, you're really not even gonna notice anything there. So this guy's got a front tack room. You probably noticed on the drawing that there's a little bit of an offset. It's a 1 foot offset on this guy. But that's again to accommodate this side ramp and then also kind of keep the box a little bit, shorter as far as the overall size of the trailer. But nice front tack room on this guy. You're gonna notice that we have a fold-up step on this. Anytime we have, a front tack room, we put a lot of emphasis on putting a fold-up step on that. Yes, this guy would normally have a running board, but it's kind of just below that bottom door jamb there as far as that framework goes. So it's still a pretty big step getting in there. To where this guy here maybe doesn't split from ground level to the bottom of that door frame evenly, but pretty dang close. But it makes it such an easier transition going actually into the tack room, especially if we're carrying saddles and other items. On your tack door, you're gonna have a brush tray. We could add more brush trays. We could do a door organizer. There's definitely some flexibility there on some of those items. Then as we come in, we're gonna have rubber mat on the floor. A lot of times you'll see carpet on the floor. I'm not as big of a fan of that. And the reasoning why is, this is high traffic areas. We're gonna wear that carpet down. We're gonna stain it. It's gonna hold an odor. You can never get it out of that carpet. So the rubber mat is definitely a nice feature there. Then on the deck in the drop wall, that's carpet. But, we're just throwing items in here, not as big of a deal up here. Again, look at the space you have for storage. Again, that 3 inches is not noticeable in here at all. You have a couple windows, so you can, if you are sleeping in here, throw a mattress up here, bed rolls, you can create some airflow, you can see out, definitely nice there. But again, look at that height that you have as far as storage goes. You're gonna be framed for an air conditioner in here or a 12-volt you know, some type of vent or even a manual crank camper style vent. They all have the same footprint, but by having that framed just like that spare tire elevated when we just order them that way, it saves a lot of time and hassle if you are wanting to make one of those additions. If you're going the air conditioner route, we'll have to add a power package to it, but that can be done to these trailers. On the long wall of this front tack room, we're gonna have a recessed post, so it's recessed into the wall, 2 saddle racks, 2 blanket bars. These are adjustable. You can interchange them. You can take them completely out. You just loosen the nut. You can slide them up and out of that cut up there. Completely remove them, adjust them, slide them where you want, tighten them back up, and then you're in business there on how you want to actually set this guy up. If you want to add more, that can be done, not a problem. Then on our partition wall, you're going to notice we have some bridle hooks high and low in a couple spots, carpet behind it to protect that aluminum and to protect your tack from rubbing against that wall. Those are aluminum powder coated, so they are really stout, so you have some high and low. And then you're gonna actually have a window in this partition wall. This is really nice because, you know, if you stop somewhere for fuel, you can just hop in this tack room and literally just peek in, check on your horses from right here. And then the last piece is you're gonna have an LED OptiBrite light right above the door. So that guy right there is gonna put out a ton of light on this trailer. Switch is right inside the door as well, so it's really easy to access, but nice to be able to see what you're doing from right there. I get this door shut because I'll show you something here in a second. But right behind this tack is gonna be that side ramp. So again, this is a straight load, so it's a walk on, walk off. So if you want to load horses from the back, walk them right off this side ramp, you can do that. That's where that 1 foot offset comes into play. You can kind of see the way that wall kind of kicks a little bit, but it's just we needed a little bit more length in this trailer to just accommodate that side ramp. We need to be so far ahead of the wheel wells and that axle trolley. But again, that's a nice big ramp right there that we're looking at. And then from here, white is standard. This one here is silver metallic. So this is a really popular option. Charcoal metallic's another one, and black. But again, there is an upcharge when you go from white to one of these other colors, but this is a fantastic color. You know, you get it in the light and you just stand at the right angle. Boy, you see a lot of that metallic flakes in this guy. And it's just a really cool color. As you can see, ramp with the Dutch door. So we have the larger Dutch door. You know, above it, as you can see, it actually secures against the side of the trailer. You're also going to notice there's another door wrapped around. That's for the back. Those are those Dutch doors that we'll show you when we get to the back of the trailer here in a minute. But as you can see, they wrap around. You still have bus windows within those Dutch doors. So you can still get airflow through those even when they are shut up, but definitely nice there. Got some tie rings. The extrusion, so it really stoutens up this trailer, gives a lot of strength by doing the actual extrusion. You're gonna have a 16-inch awning light there, middle of the wheel well area, so when you have horses tied right there, you can go ahead and have some light coverage there. We have 2 5,200-pound Dexter rubber torsion axles, 16-inch black with silver accent aluminum wheels, Goodyear 10-ply tires. You have a 1-year, no questions asked warranty on these tires from the date you purchase the trailer. So if you have a blowout, if you catch road debris, if you have a nail that catches the side wall and it can't be patched, they will replace it from the date you purchase it. 1 year, no questions asked. Now that's not through Cimarron, that's through their vendor Lion's Head, but we can help you out with that process there. Electric brakes on this guy. So again, I was telling you a little bit about your tow vehicle. You know, you'll have to have an integrated brake controller, or if it doesn't, we can do it. We help you out with an aftermarket add-on through our parts and service department if you want. But again, 4,500 pounds, so a really easy, you know, trailer to tow, but also very maneuverable from the overall, you know, size, 18 foot on the floor. Now this fender on the outside here, this guy here is a bolt-on, so it's not a weld-on. More traditional weld-on styles, you have to cut them off, replace it with a new one, weld it on. It's more labor intensive, costing you more money versus the bolt-on. So definitely a nice feature there. You probably caught a couple things. You know, we did that with the spare. You know, you start figuring those type of items on the framing for the AC unit and those bolt-on fenders. Again, if you run into some stuff, it's not as expensive as it could be. So as we get to the back here, you're going to notice the ramp is down, and again we have those Dutch doors, so those Dutch doors wrap around. You can actually drive with those Dutch doors open if you'd like. You can actually lock those open as well, but if you wanted more airflow, you can do that. If you want to shut them up and utilize the bus windows, you can do that. So where this trailer really sets itself apart, you know, obviously the side ramp, but this back stall area, because you can do so many different things with it. Obviously 2-horse straight load, we can make it a box stall. You know, that way you got a little bit more room for somebody if they want, or if you want to use it for other things, some toys. This is a great all-around trailer that can be versatile and used other ways. The rear ramp can easily load, you know, a smaller UTV, four-wheelers, those type of items can be easily put on this trailer itself. You're gonna have a couple load lights at the back, 18 inches there, or excuse me, 8 inches on these two here. All these exterior lights, interior lights are on individual switches, so we can turn them on and off individually. You'll notice in these back tail lights, there's going to be a white X. That is a backup light. So again, our tow vehicle, you know, those lights are going to be kind of worthless when we throw them in reverse based on the length of the trailer and the trailer actually blocking some of that. So those there are built in, so those are standard. So when we throw it in reverse, those guys are going to indicate giving you some coverage back here. Again, more lighting. There's definitely a common theme with these Cimarrons and how we like to order our inventory, just from the sheer standpoint of you're not going to regret having a lot of light on this guy. There will be times where you need a lot of light. So coming in the stall area, butt bars, chest bars, pads on them. Now I want you to notice, this is something we're doing here. We went and looked at, we actually had a head-to-head trailer come in. We looked at the height of the butt bar. The butt bar is about 6 inches lower. What are we dealing with? Big horses, right? We need this butt bar to be a little bit higher on those guys. That was the same standard height on any using trailer that Cimarron built that we had here on the lot. So we're talking about quarter horses, you know, reiners, cutters, you know, littler horses that, yes, the bar seems to work good right here. But for these horses, we needed to rethink that. So we have gone in and made our butt bars standard 49 inches off the floor and our chest bars at 46. So a little bit taller than what's standard out there at the 43. But again, we're just trying to look at how, you know, what horses we're putting into these actual trailers. The divider itself is a stud divider, but it has pads on it. So we got pads on either side of this. It is the jail bar style, so we have a lot of airflow on this guy. You know, we like going the jail bar rather than a solid. Obviously, if you want to, you know, up by the head area, shoulder area, if you wanted to go ahead and make that solid, it's easier for us to take a panel and, you know, attach it and make it solid versus going solid and then to the airflow style, the jail bar style, because we have to completely build a whole new divider from that standpoint. But talk about airflow, there's going to be a real comfortable stall area by having this. The lower part of this is all the exact same extrusion that you saw from the outside of the trailer. So it's stud divider, so again, it's going to protect everybody. Definitely a nice feature. There's a reason why it's this big rectangular you know, shape that we're going to look at here in a minute, but we'll come back to that here in 1 second. What I wanted to show you is there's, again, chest bar, and then you got feed bags on these guys. So we have feed bags on either side of this, but I'm going to go ahead and get this guy out of the way here in 1 second, just because I want to show you some stuff. So we have a head grill up here. Again, it's jail bar, so again, we can change that. But when we go to unload horses, we can offload, you know, the horse here on passenger side, and then when I want to do the driver's side, I can break this guy over. It actually pins up into the wall, and I can actually swing it the other way too if I want to. But now it makes this transition for this other horse on driver's side so much easier getting off the actual side of the trailer. So we have this chest bar that goes across this opening. Normally it's a, you know, it's a good size ramp. It's a 54-inch ramp. So then you got to figure out what to do with this bar, right? So it's a little bit longer. It kind of sets out of the way. So Cimarron came up with this design that this guy here can actually slide right up out of the way. We've got a piece there that it can lock into. So we don't have to worry about you tripping on it, a horse tripping on it, you know, potentially spooking because it makes a big rattle and clank and bang. But again, out of the way, easily slide down, lock it into place. That has been kind of gone over a couple times now, you know, redesigning it, and this is a great option here, and we really like putting this on this type of setup. Two-way roof fence, so we got those guys up high, so we, you know, right ahead of the horses, air travels, right? So we want to, if we want to get air traveling back there to the horses, we can open these guys up, force it down. You have bus windows over their, you know, their hips and their backs, and then obviously the back Dutch doors with bus windows there. You can create a vacuum. Just think of air movement on a real hot day. That little bit of a breeze makes everything feel better, life a lot better because of that air movement, and that's what you get there. Now, every single Cimarron is capped off with an insulated roof. That's what we're looking at there. So it's a 1/2 inch thick honeycomb design. It's reinforced with that honeycomb design. R3 thermal value, gel coating. I know I just said a whole lot of stuff. Mainly what it does, keeps this stall area 20% cooler versus aluminum sheeted roofs. So again, keeping our horses more comfortable. Again, it's standard on every Cimarron. Doesn't matter if it's a big LQ you saw in the background, bumper, pole, this trailer here, they all have it. The other thing is it withstands big hail. So a lot of other brands out there with aluminum sheeted roofs can get hail dings in them. This guy here has to be substantial hail to really do any damage to it. Then if you flip to the other side of the trailer and we go to the floor, this guy here has rubber mats on the floor, but underneath it is the industry's best floor. It is a 12-inch extruded deck that locks in high and low, tongue and groove, 2 points of contact, but more importantly, 4-inch centers. There's a V-truss in the middle, so it's even stronger than their previous floor, which was the industry's best. Easiest way to explain it is wherever you have a horse standing on a Cimarron floor, they're standing on a support beam. So when you're building a house, you want a strong foundation. It should be no different on a trailer. When you start to see centers spread apart, you're going to get those pits and waves in a floor that's going to collect urine and start to corrode. Now, every one of these trailers, these all aluminum trailers, you need to clean out the trailer, pull mats, power wash it out. Baking soda, sprinkle that on. That's a little trick after it dries because it'll counteract the acidity of urine, and then put your mats back in. But you still have to care for them. But again, you have the best floor out there in the industry. So from there, this divider, a lot of times we'll do this type of a setup and it's a 2-person job, but we can unpin this divider. Usually there's a location over against the wall that you can relock it in, but again, you need 2 of you, or you can completely take it out. But if I wanted to break this guy down into a box stall, maybe I want to haul, you know, mare and a foal. Maybe I want to give somebody a box stall traveling. Again, maybe I want to take some toys somewhere. Well, this guy here is a cool concept because as one person, I can unpin this divider and I can actually slide it against the wall by myself rather than having to get help, and also remove it. Because maybe there's an instance where you go, well, I got to travel and I need this as a box stall, but then I'm going to have to get it switched back to a 2-hour straight load. Well, you can't take it out and leave it. Here you go. Slide it against the wall. It's out of the way. And you saw how simple that was. Obviously, I can remove the bags, but as you can see on the floor, they have these big heavy MW plastic pads here. We have holes drilled in it for those pins. So it pins in the floor and then in the ceiling. But that track, you can see it right here. These are on these rollers. And it makes it so simple. If you're in the middle, it's a 1-person job. You can slide it out of the way. This concept came over from the show cattle trailers, where we have the gate that goes across the trailer and we move them forward and backwards so we can manipulate stall sizes if we want. Took that concept and turned it on its side and made it to where this slides out of the way. This is how we build a lot of our 2+1s. We do a lot of these 2-horse straight load bumper poles and goosenecks with this setup. Our head-to-heads all have this. We've all kind of gone to that because customers want flexibility. You have complete flexibility here. Last piece, you're gonna have some interior lights right here. So again, those OptiBrite lights, again, these are on individual switches. So the stall area can turn on each side of the trailer and the rear on individuals. These rear ramps, nice big springs. As you see, I just kind of let it go and it wants to suck into the trailer once I get kind of past a braking point. All of these latches, tack doors, securing the ramp, securing the Dutch doors, side doors, drop window that I'll show you here in a second, everything has one key. So we don't need to find multiple keys to open and close this trailer. It's just one key. As you can see, the bus windows now and those Dutch doors, you know, again, you can open them up to create that vacuum if you want. That wraparound style hinge is nice because it gets right to the side of the trailer. Over here on driver's side, this is a good look. On the other side, it was covered with those Dutch doors, but there's that big, massive bus window that goes over the hip and the back of the horse. A bus window, only half of it opens. So I commend Cimarron. They really maximize, they really got a big bus window there, create a lot of air movement, and that is a nice feature there. Again, tie rings on this side. And then we transition forward. We actually have an access door going into that stall area as well. So we have access from the side ramp, or we actually have this door that we can come in and out of if we need to hop into the stall area for any reason. Same thing, key to like. But this also has one more piece to it, and that's because it's got this bus window, but a drop-down feed door with jail bars. So, you know, on the other side with that Dutch door, it does have that window in that Dutch door to kind of force air in there. Here, it can force air in, or obviously with the drop-down jail bar, it can force air into the horses themselves. If you need to drop this guy down, hey, you want to throw, you know, maybe some extra feed, something like that to this horse on this side, you can easily do that. You can hop in if need be. But the jail bar's got the track built into it, so it's really easy to operate. And then these welded hinges with grease certs, that's another feature that it's standard on these Cimarrons. So if you have a hinge that needs some grease, it gets a little stiff, a little squeaky, we can actually put grease to it. You see this brass rod in the middle. It actually runs the length of this, and the easiest way to explain it is it's a candy cane swirl almost cut into it. So when you put grease and you open and close this, it wants to force that grease throughout. We see a lot of welded hinges come in on trade, and there'll be holes drilled in the top because you either have to heat them up or you have to somehow try to get some lubricant into them. So they drill a hole to try to get that lubricant in and just let gravity take it from there. But it's really harder on those. These are a lot easier to maintain from that standpoint. And then this gives you a good look, you know, completely all shut up, that silver metallic. You know, the black wheels with the silver accent really ties in well with the hardware, the window frames, and then the extrusion itself. So you can see why this is such a cool and popular trailer in a 2-horse gooseneck. Again, we have these in bumper pull versions. They are fantastic sellers for us. So I'm going to give you the stock number on it for reference. Again, it's a 2026 Cimarron Warmblood Norstar 2-horse gooseneck with side ramp. Stock number is 5N250211. We do take trade-ins, so if you're looking to upgrade or downsize, we can help you there. Delivery is an option, so we could potentially bring this to your door, and financing is available as well. So give us a call. Anybody on our sales team can help you out. That number is 303-684-3400. Appreciate you tuning in. Have a good day.